Hello and welcome to the tutorial for Setu Bandha. So today we're going to be setting up, this is Julie and I'm Rachel. So we're going to be setting up using a bolster and a block if you've got them at home. That's really all you need, but if you have a second block and a belt, they can come in handy as well. Now remembering, if you don't have these props at home, you can make do with regular household items that you've got at home. For example, you might use a sleeping bag or a rolled up towel. You can use different things like books or what have you instead of the blocks. And just a regular belt that goes around the waist. If you had something like that at home, you could use instead of a yoga belt. So today, as I said, we're going to be setting up Setu Bandha in this tutorial, and it can be in place of many things. If you are menstruating, if you have an injury, or you just feel like you need a little bit more of a restorative practice on any given day. It can be a nice replacement for our Savandasana or shoulder stand, which we will teach you in another tutorial. So to begin today to set up, Julie's going to loop the belt. So she takes the end of the belt through two buckles, splits them, and then takes it back through one to tighten it up a little bit. From here, we're going to set up with one block to the wall, okay? Now, if you don't have a wall that you can use at home, that's okay. You can set this up just in the middle of the mat, in the middle of a room. You don't need the wall, but it can give nice support for you to press your feet to, and you'll find out why in a moment, okay? Then from here, you also need your support, your bolster underneath the length of the spine to come into this position. So from here, Julie's going to come on up. She's going to sit on the bolster facing towards the wall. She's going to take the second block, if you've got one at home, and she's bringing it in between the thighs here in a moment, okay? And she's also slipped that belt on around her ankles, and she's going to bring it up to what we call mid-thigh. So between the hip and the knee, roughly midway along the length of the leg, popping that block in between the thighs to belt it firmly in place. So to come into this position here, Julie's going to keep the knees bent and sit more towards the end of the bolster that's closest to the wall. She's going to lay back along the length of the bolster, and then from here she gently glides back towards the head side, keeping the feet on the floor. She glides back towards the head side until the shoulders come down onto the floor, the back of the head and neck as well. The palms turn up towards the ceiling. So we're really wanting to open up through the front of the chest here, as well as that armpit chest area with the good placement of the bolster in the upper back. From here, Julie's going to take one leg and straighten the legs out with the heels supported on the blocks, pressing the feet to the wall. But from here, what I want to encourage, in a moment when Julie straightens her legs, we want to keep this beautiful opening of the front chest. If your bolster support is too close to the wall and you go to straighten your legs, sometimes we push too far away from the wall, and you'll observe here that now there's a bigger gap between the end of the bolster and Julie's upper back, and there's an opportunity for the chest to slightly sink in and for the shoulder tips to curl up towards the ceiling. So we want to keep that space. So in this instance, I would say to Julie to bend the knees and come on up to set again. So she needs to move her bolster a little further away from the wall, okay? We go through it all again. It doesn't matter how many times you do this. What's important that is you get it into a good position. She keeps the knees bent, feet to the floor. She lies back along the length of the bolster, glides back gently, so the shoulders come to rest on the floor, back of the neck and head. Good. We keep the front of the chest open, that armpit chest area nice and spacious as well. She then stretches out the legs one at a time. And now she's gone too far away from the wall. So this is good. So let's bend the knees again, Jules. Come on up. So it is a bit of a shift and a shuffle until we get it right. And it doesn't matter, okay? So we go again. Feet stay on the floor. She glides back. Shoulder tips touch down. Back of the neck is long. She stretches the legs one at a time. Good. To bring the heels to the block. Four corners of the feet pressing to keep the chest nice and open. So you can see that it may take you a few attempts to get comfortable in this position. Now, even if you don't have the belt and the second block at home, I would still encourage you to take something underneath the heels so that the ankles are in line with the hips and so that the shoulders are lower than the hips in this instance. So as I said, this is a beautiful variation if you are on cycle, okay? If you have an injury of some form, or if you want to take a more restorative version of Salamba Savadasana or shoulder stand. Now there's one more thing that you could add in here if you wanted to. If it was feeling a little bit too hard on the back of the head, you could take a stack size blanket, a towel or what have you, and just bring that in underneath the head so that the blanket comes to the tops of the shoulders. What I wouldn't encourage here is to take too much height though, so that the chin's pulling too far in towards the chest. So just enough to give comfort to the back of the head, okay? And then you can hold this position for as long as you like, keeping the chest nice and open. Now to come out of this posture, which is equally as important as going in, okay, we would bend the knees, bringing the feet back to the floor. We lift the hips up and move the bolster out between the feet towards the block so that your bottom comes back down onto the floor. You can take the belt off and block comes out. And we just can come into cross legs here with the feet up on the support. So we always lower out of an inversion variation slowly, just to allow the blood pressure to equalize in the body so that you don't sort of feel faint or anything when you get up quickly. Let's change the fold of the legs. So again, a really beautiful variation and really simple to set up at home. Bring the knees together, we roll to the side to come on up. Thank you for tuning in for this tutorial of Setu Bandha here at Infuse Health.